These are the 3 retirement income mistakes that can destroy your wealth in market downturns. Think about being in your mid to late 50s, early 60s, and you've spent years and years and years saving well, investing well, working really hard to set yourself up for retirement. And you've spent decades essentially building this retirement nest egg. Decades of sacrifice and discipline and smart saving. But here's the thing that nobody really talks about is you can do everything right on the way into retirement and still mess it up on the way out. And when markets drop, 3 very common withdrawal mistakes can typically wipe out years of growth faster than most people realize. I'm Greg McCall, a certified financial planner and retirement income certified professional at Eagle Financial Planning. And today's video, I'm going to walk you through the 3 retirement income mistakes that can destroy wealth in market downturns and exactly what to do instead. If you're within 10 years of retirement or already retired, this one is definitely for you. Mistake number 1 is taking the same fixed dollar amount out every single month, no matter what. This is probably the most common mistake I see. Someone retires, they figure out what they need to spend each month, and they just start pulling that same amount out of their portfolio every single month. No strategy really behind it. They're picking an account to take it out of, and rain or shine, bull market, bear market, it's coming out. It feels logical. It feels like you're organized because you picked a dollar amount to come out every single month. But when the markets drop, and they will, it can become a serious problem. Here's why. When your portfolio loses value and you keep pulling out the same dollar amount every single month or year, you're forced to sell more shares at lower prices just to meet that fixed withdrawal rate. So think of it like this. Imagine you own shares in a great company and the price drops 30%. And we're in retirement. We don't have an income coming in every month. We've now created an income for ourselves. And now we have to sell those shares at a 30% discount. We are locking in those losses at 30%. And the shares that we sell, well, they're not there anymore to recover when the market bounces back. And the market does bounce back. And so that money is sold. Those shares are gone. It hits our bank. We're spending it. And we have no chance to recover that. This is what researchers call sequence of returns risk, and it hits hardest in the early years of retirement. There's plenty of research out there that shows that 2 retirees with identical average returns over a 30-year period can end up in completely different places financially just based on when those losses hit. Typically, early in retirement, when you see downturns, that's a lot of times when we do see retirement portfolios fail. If you retire into a down market or there is a down market near retirement and you keep pulling fixed withdrawals with no strategy behind it, your portfolio has a chance to never fully recover. Now, percentage-based withdrawals can actually create a similar problem in early years too. The big one is the 4% rule. If you're taking 4 or 5% of your portfolio when the market is down 20, 30%, you're still drawing from a shrunken base at the worst possible time. A smarter approach is to have a flexible withdrawal strategy, one that has built-in rules for pulling back spending during downturns, and one that has spending more when markets are strong. If you pair that with also having a cash reserve bucket for those times of market downturns, those are typically the best outcomes. Having that flexibility built into your plan before you need it is what separates those who stay on track and those who don't. Mistake number 2 is selling your best investments when the markets drop. And this one can be painful to watch and painful to be disciplined in. But when markets drop and people are panicking, the first thing many retirees do is sell their growth stocks or their best equity positions just to raise cash to live off of, or because they want to sit out the downturn. And this can be easy to do, right? We see our account balances go down, and naturally what we want to do is, I don't want to partake in this. I'm just going to avoid it at all costs. But on the flip side, selling these investments at a 30 or 40% loss does more damage than riding the downturn and riding it back up. It is very, very difficult to know when we are at the bottom of a downturn, when we're right in the middle of it, or when we're at the start. And it is very difficult to time this. There's a saying that says time in the market beats timing the market. It is very, very difficult to do. So here's the problem. When the market does recover, and over long periods of time, it always has, Those are the investments typically that bounce back the best. So things that got hit the hardest, we see oftentimes bounce back the quickest and the best. And if we sold them at the bottom, you missed the recovery entirely. So you essentially turned a temporary loss into a permanent loss indefinitely. So what do we do instead? So number one, as hard as it is, we cannot get emotional during market downturns. You have to have a plan in place and you have to have someone to lean on, whether it's a financial planner or someone that's going to keep you accountable during market downturns. So the better play is to have a strategic cash reserve or a cash alternative amount set aside specifically for times like this. Think of that account, it's like your buffer. Okay, we're giving the market time to recover. We're not selling good assets at a loss. We have this cash for when the market does go down. So instead of selling stocks when they're down 20, 30, 40%, we are typically using a cash bucket or cash alternative to draw from and live off at that time. The market recovers, we refill that cash bucket. So we're leaving our equities alone, we're letting them recover, and we don't have to create losses for ourselves there that we can never recover from again. I'm a firm believer in keeping clients exposed to more equities in retirement than conventional wisdom may suggest, but it's only if you have a plan in place. So ideally, we pair more exposure to equities with a cash alternative bucket plus a guardrail system that tells us when we need to adjust spending when the markets are down and when we can get a pay raise when the markets go up. It totally depends on your unique situation, but for most of our clients, we typically have 2 years to 5 years of a cash income need in retirement, just in cash. So I'll give you an example. Let's just say a client spends $100,000 a year and $60,000 is coming from Social Security and pensions. Well, they need $40,000 a year extra from their portfolio. So for them, they may have $80,000, $120,000, $160,000 in cash. Again, it really depends on your unique situation. Mistake number 3 is having no written plan for how you'll handle market downturns and bear markets. As I mentioned before, this is really the mistake that ties everything together, and it's the one that most often leads to emotional and expensive decisions that can really derail a retirement portfolio. I work with a lot of pre-retirees and retirees, and one of the most common things I see is people just kind of winging it when it comes to market downturns. They don't have a plan in place. There's no rules. There's no defined triggers. There's no strategy behind it. There's no plan for what they'll do if the market drops 20, 30, 40%. And without a plan, motion takes over. There was a study late in 2024, and it said that 20 to 25% of retirees are working part-time or full-time jobs, many of them because of financial pressure. Some of those people are going to be, hey, I want to stay busy, enjoy some of this work. But many of these times that we do often see is because there is financial pressure because they don't have a proper plan in place. Many of these retirees did not have a plan for volatility. They drained too much from their portfolios in a market downturn or made emotional decisions that cost them in the long run. And they found themselves needing an income again, which is a complete nightmare scenario that we are trying to prevent for clients. So what questions should a written plan answer? So number one, how much can I spend in retirement? What are the triggers that will help me understand when I should reduce spending, help me understand when I can increase spending? And what do I do when the markets drop 20, 30, 40%? How much cash should you keep on hand? Which accounts do we draw from first and second and third? And what I've found is most pre-retirees or folks that just retired have not thought much about this. When you have those answers written down in advance, you're making decisions with logic and not fear and emotion. So as I like to say, it's never as bad as you think it is. It's also never as good as you think it is. So if you have a rule-based system with triggers that keeps you from panicking at the bottom and making decisions that hurt your overall long-term plan, you will come out with better outcomes. So consider this scenario. Imagine a retiree who had a strategic cash reserve in place, clear rules for which accounts to draw from during a downturn, and guardrails in place to know when they need to reduce their spending and when they can increase their spending. When markets drop significantly, they didn't panic. They had a plan in place. They drew from their cash bucket for 12 months. They kept their equity positions intact, and they came out of the other side of their plan on track. Why is this? It's because the plan was built before the storm hit. It's very difficult to build a plan and maintain a plan during the storm. We really want to prepare for this because we know we are going to hit storms in retirement. And that's the difference between reacting emotionally and responding strategically. So let me ask you something. Do you have a written plan today for what you would do in retirement if the markets drop 25% tomorrow? If not, that's something worth working on. So let's bring all this together. First, build a flexible withdrawal system, one with guardrails, so you know when to pull back spending and when you can increase spending. Second, create a strategic cash reserve that covers 2 to 5 years of income needs, so you never have to sell equities at a loss just to pay bills. And third, write down your bear market playbook. Know which accounts you pull from, in what order, what spending adjustments you'll make when things get rocky. That way you don't make emotional decisions. These aren't super complicated moves, but you'd be surprised how many times people make emotional decisions in retirement. You've worked so hard your whole life, you've built this nest egg, and then the storm hits. We have to be prepared for the storm. If you haven't thought about these things or need help walking through them, these are the exact kind of things that we do at Eagle Financial Planning. I put out content like this regularly to help you make the most of what you've built. And if you want help creating a personalized retirement income plan and one that includes many of the things we talked about today, strategy for market downturns, tax smart withdrawals, a roadmap built around your specific situation, book a free retirement strategy session in the description below, and I'd be happy to help.